Today is July 26, 2026, and welcome to the 498th episode of the So Video Games podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway, and I am the one-man host of this show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a reviews website that offers full accessibility information on every review we publish. Hello! Thank you for joining me this lovely Sunday morning. It's been a pretty leisurely one here at the Game Critics West studio. Meant to get up a couple hours ago and already have this podcast in the bag, but it's been really, really hot here lately in Seattle, Washington. I think what people think of Seattle is no longer what Seattle really is. I think it became popular for cloudy days and drizzly rain and espresso and Fraser and Pike Place Market and stuff. And some of those things are still here, but we're not really anywhere near as gray or as cloudy or as rainy or wet or cool as it used to be, as it traditionally has been for such a long time. Global warming is a thing. We have the proof positive right here. It's been really hot for us. And granted, not as hot as other places in the world. I get it, but still for us, very hot. So for the last week, we've just been sweating and trying to stay out of the heat. And the dogs are sweating, which is even worse because dogs physically can't sweat. And so it's been really bad. But today we had a nice, cool, gray morning and we just fucking passed out. We got up and then we closed our eyes, me and the wife. And then before we knew it, like a couple hours had gone by and we're like, oh my gosh. You know, when it's cool after being hot for so long, like I think your body just like goes into like recovery mode. And man, we ended up sleeping like 3 hours later than we meant to. And I guess we needed it. I guess that was our body telling us to recover from all that heat. So here I am, a couple hours later, getting started on the show a little bit later than normal, but not to worry. Today is the catch-up show. As y'all know, if you're a regular listener, last episode 497 came in super late due to a number of factors. Just published it like, I want to say 2 days ago, which is I think the latest I've ever been with the show. But we're not skipping an episode. I think it would have been pretty easy to say, well, this one counts as this week's and we'll just move on. No, son. No. We're not quitters. The show must go on. Word is bond. And so despite dropping a show 2 days ago, dropping a show today so I can get back on track, my commitment to y'all is one show a week, and that is what I do. So here we are, living that truth. All right. Thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Today's going to be a shorter show, or maybe I should say a more concise show. Rather than the 5-day death march that was the last episode. I think I'm just going to get it done in one shot here. Fingers crossed. No real housekeeping today. I didn't take any questions. I think we're going to just like really get to the meat and potatoes of stuff. As far as what's up at GameCritics.com, if you haven't been there, go ahead and check it out. Let me take a really, really quick look and see what we can see. As for things that were published this week, we have a great review of Switch 2 replacement Joy-Cons, the MobaPad M12 HD and the M12S. That was by CJ Salcedo. Looks like a pretty good alternative if you don't like the standard Joy-Cons, which I think are fine, but I see a lot of people really asking for like better grips, more ergonomic grips. These seem to be getting the job done. I'm not a big believer in third-party stuff most of the time, but this review has kind of swayed me a little bit. So read CJ's literal hands-on up at Game Critics. CJ was a busy bee this week. We also published his Black Flag Resynced review. Spoiler, he liked it. I think spoiler, everybody who's played it has basically liked it, including myself. We have a review of Veritas Tales, Witch of the Dark Castle from Justin Granfield. This is a super interesting one. If you're familiar with fighting fantasy or book-based solo RPG tabletop play, which granted is kind of a niche, this one seems like an absolute love letter to that. Like the whole screen looks like you're looking at a book. You've got a character sheet on the right side of it that looks like you drew it in with your hand. There's all these little items and little cards and stuff. It looks exactly like something that you would bust out and play on your own. Like if, you know, you're having a quiet afternoon, cup of coffee, you want to get some RPG in, but maybe you don't have your crew around. This is exactly the kind of thing that you would play. Or if you were a kid in the 80s, I'm sure something along the lines of like Choose Your Own Adventure or Fighting Fantasy. This looks pretty dope. And the person who made it has some real cred. I think they worked for both Capcom and Vanillaware, and then I believe they created this game over COVID when people were still isolating. So looks like a real winner. Veritas Tales, Witch of the Dark Castle looks like some good stuff. Beyond that, it looks like, who wrote this one? I think it was Jason. Oh yeah, Jason Ricardo turned in a review for Atelier Yumiya, The Alchemist of Memories in the Envisioned Land. I don't know if I mentioned that one before, but the Atelier series, according to Jason anyway, just turns out banger after banger. So this is another banger. He likes it a lot. Gave it like top marks. It's weird to me because every time he turns in a review, I'm like, well, surely this can't be another 9. Surely it can't. And he's like, it is a 9 and don't call me surely. So there you go. That's what's over at Game Critics this week. Go ahead and check that out if you like. And let's just get down to it. Let's do some circlebacks, folks. Circlebacks, as y'all know, I like to start the main portion of the show with circlebacks, where I circle back to things I've covered in depth on previous episodes. Not going to get into all the details again, but just think of this as a quick update, let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. Only one circle back this week, The Altar's Last Variable DLC, a surprise DLC for a game which I did not think needed it or really had any space for it, but boy was I wrong. Here it is. I just finished it 2 days ago, talked about it last episode in greater detail, so check that episode out if you want to know more. Long story short, this is the DLC to The Altars, where you basically cloned yourself from different walks of life in order to survive a sci-fi, I don't know, survival story with a lot of management sim going on. I loved it. It was my game of the year when it came out. The Altars is great. If you haven't played it, that is definitely something you should look at. I think the story was great. The approach was great. Sim management stuff was great. I mean, it's just really, really a great game all the way around. And so this is the DLC. This DLC, to recap, stars one of the Altars. This is not a spoiler, but one of the Altars stayed behind on the alien planet when everybody left. He wanted to discover the secrets of the planet. And then you are playing that scientist. He clones himself like four more times, and they all become different types of scientist. He digs deeper into his own genome, I guess, and they work together to discover the secrets of this planet. So what is different about this DLC? If you are familiar with the base game of the Altars, it is basically the same in large part, which is fine. I don't expect DLC to really, do anything wildly different. I mean, I don't really think that's the purpose of DLC in general. I mean, you can, but it's not, I think, what is expected. So you basically have your same base. You're managing resources just like you did in the Altars, but there's a couple new systems. Number one is that you don't have a time limit. In the original Altars, your base was mobile and you needed to stay ahead of the sunrise. If the sunrise caught you, you died because it was so hot and oppressive that it just seared everything on the face of the planet. So in this particular game, there is no time pressure. There is time pressure in the sense that you only have a certain number of days at a time to get work done, but then you put yourself into cryo sleep and then you just start again when the sun goes away. I believe the game says it's like something like 13 years in between. So like if you're awake and you work for like 8 days when the shade is up, you do your work and you're not done, but then here comes the sun, you go into cryo sleep, and then the game picks up 13 years from the last time that you were active. It doesn't really have a lot of ramifications. I didn't really notice like any downside to like taking a long time. There are a couple story implications, but they're pretty minor. So I think in general, this game removes the time pressure. And I will say that in the original Altars base game, time pressure was pretty fucking intense. Like it was real stressful. If that game hadn't been so good, I think I would have bounced because I don't normally play games with that much pressure on you, but it was really good. And the pressure did make sense. And it was a thing. I mean, it worked. I don't want every game to be like that. So I'm glad that in this particular DLC, they have removed the time pressure. It took me 8 cycles to complete the DLC. So that's like 8 active periods with 7 13-year slumber periods in between. And saving up enough resources to do the cryosleep thing is like, it's like so easy. It's like not even, I totally forgot about it because it was so easy. So they definitely don't like really rake you over the coals for that. I think it's a pretty nice concession for people who felt like the core game was too stressful. I know a lot of people really had problems with how stressful it was. So that's the big change. The other big change is the pipes system. In addition to the resources, you've got pipes that you've got to set up manually all over the land that send a whole bunch of specific resources back to your base. There's a puzzle element to that you don't really realize is a puzzle element until you're like neck deep in it and you're like, oh, I guess I should have realized this a long time ago, or maybe that's just me. So I feel like figuring out the pipes is kind of like the game's quote unquote last boss. If you can figure out how to make all the pipes work in the right way with all the resources at the very final stage of it, congratulations, you've done something that I think is quite difficult. And Yahtzee, you win. And of course, there's story and stuff after that. But I think that pipe system is the new thing and the challenging thing. That to me is like where most of the challenge came from. And it was a different kind of challenge. It was a brand new challenge. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I finished the game a couple days ago. I saw credits. So I will say that overall, I think the story in the altars is weaker than it is in the main game, which is not surprising. It's a DLC. I didn't feel like there was enough dialogue. I felt like the side quests that you do, which normally have story quest rewards, were not as significant as they were in the main game. They weren't as interesting. And I felt like, I don't know, just overall the story wasn't nearly as much of a factor as it was, which I guess, I mean, fine. It's totally fine. The altars really brought it, and it's gonna be hard to match up to that level of stuff. But it was okay. It was fine. I think towards the end of the game, some tedium really picked up, especially when I was doing the pipes. You don't realize a certain few things about the pipes when you start, and then like it kind of goes for a while, and then by the time you realize what you actually need to be doing, you've already made a mess of things, and the cleanup was pretty tedious. You don't get to do it in God mode, which I understand is fine, but going in third person to fix some of your mistakes can be very tedious because the land is hard to navigate. There's ups and downs and barriers, and it's just, I mean, I think it would be better if you had a little bit more flexibility in how you laid your pipes. When you lay your pipe, it comes at a stock height above the ground, like it's on a little pole, and then the pipe is mounted on the pole. I wish you could lower or raise the height of that pipe. I think that would have solved almost all my problems. Because sometimes I would get stuck on a barrier where the pipe didn't quite clear it, or maybe there was like a little bit of a obfuscation somehow. And if it was a bit lower, like getting through tunnels, I wanted to lower the pipe so the pipe could get through the tunnel. When I was near bushes and trees or whatever, I wanted to raise the pipe so that it could get around the shrubbery, but you can't. And so I think that was kind of fucking annoying after a while, especially when you came really, really close to making it work and it just didn't fucking work. Like there was a couple times when I was like an inch off of having a pipe work and it would have solved all my problems and it didn't work. And instead I would have to like loop back around like 4 more extra miles to around some other mountain or something to make it work because that one little inch couldn't be fixed. So I think the pipe system in the late game can get pretty annoying. And I think also some of I wish there was a little bit more map delineation of map items or map icons. There's a few points in the game when you just need to search for stuff where they're like, you got to find this thing. It's on the map somewhere. They give you a general direction. Like your map is divided up into like 6 or 7 sectors, and they'll be like, oh yeah, like, here's sector 1 and there's 4 things here. Go find them. But I just really wish they were on the map, or maybe you could even build a thing that would tell you where they were. I wouldn't mind, putting in a half an hour of building a machine or whatever, radar dish or something, sonar, that would let you just find the samples that you need, because otherwise you're just blindly searching for them. And there's so many tunnels and rocks and hills and valleys and shit. It's boring and it's tedious, and you just have to do it at a certain point. So I ended up going to YouTube a couple times to be like, where the fuck is the goddamn sample? I don't want to look for this anymore. Please just let me know where it is, because I feel like I'm running in circles. So that part was not cool. There at least should have been an optional machine you could build or something like that. That would have been great. Or just put them on the map, I guess, is fine. I think the other thing that was kind of a pisser too was also at the end game, sometimes you need like a lot of resources, and some of the resources build up pretty slowly. And so if you didn't know what was coming and you built something else, then you depleted all your resources. And there was a few times when I was just burning days. Like, I don't know if you remember in the original altars, every minute was precious. And so you were constantly like min-maxing and multitasking to like do 9 things at once all the time because you just had no time to get it done. In this game, towards the end of the game, at least towards the halfway point, I was just burning entire days of like, I'd wake up, I would look at my resource and realize I don't have enough yet. And all I could do was wait for that resource to build up. I would just go back to bed. I would wake up and literally go back to bed and burn the entire day. I did that multiple times, which was insane. And it was so in contrast with the original game. I almost thought I was playing it wrong, because I'm like, there's no way I can waste this much time. This is crazy. But it was. I just needed to wait for that resource to build up. I had done everything else. So I think speeding that resource up a little bit would have helped. It's like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of making us wait that long? It's just, if there's no time pressure, and again, not complaining about that, I think it was fine. if there's no time pressure, then you can eventually build everything. It's just simply a matter of time. And if you want to burn that many days, which equates to the player sitting there and just pushing X a couple times and kind of like wasting my time in front of the TV, I think that whole thing could have been sped up. And I think that kind of dovetails into my overall complaint. Well, not a complaint, but an observation. I think it took me maybe 15 hours, maybe 20 hours to beat this DLC. That's just too long. It didn't need to be that long. It could have been 10 hours. It would have been just fine. I spent quite a bit of time just passing days and searching for samples. And, I think it could have been a much more concise experience. Could have been half the time. So I think that needed a little bit of work as well. But I will say, on the plus side, it's nice to revisit the planet. It's nice to spend some more time with the yawns, all the various different yawns. Crew wasn't as strong as the first time around, but they're still fun. It's still interesting. I think the Altars itself is just such an interesting property and such an interesting game that even playing something like this, which is kind of like an offshoot, still brings a lot of value. Because I really did enjoy the Altars quite a bit. I think their formula is great, and I just liked playing it. Just straight up physically playing it is fun. So I think that worked. And I will say that the story ended in a pretty cool way. I think it would have been a little bit more impactful if we got there sooner. But I did like the ending. It was a bit of a surprise ending to me anyway. And I am not the world's most predictive person when it comes to stories. My wife, Gina, she'll watch 5 minutes of anything and she will tell you immediately how the thing's going to end, which sucks sometimes. I get really jealous that she can like see through this. I mean, she should work in Hollywood because she should write a script for anything and it would totally work, because she's like on that level of like, somebody comes on the screen, she's like, oh, they're the killer. I'm like, what? How the fuck do you know that? Oh, because so-and-so, XYZ. Damn it. Oh, she's right. Fuck. So she could have seen through this in a second. I didn't see through it until the very end, and it was a nice surprise for me, although I guess many other people might be able to guess how this game is going to end. But I did like the ending. And overall, I mean, despite all my bitching, I did think it was a good experience and I had fun. I'm glad I played it. I just wish it was like a little bit shorter and had a few less irritations. But overall, it was good stuff. I'm glad it exists. Would the game feel incomplete without it? No. I think The Altars was a very, very complete experience, and it did not need DLC. It was not crying out for a DLC. I did not feel as though it ended on a cliffhanger. But this is here. It's a thing. I played it. I liked it. I had a good time. I'm glad I spent time with it, and I took the time to finish it, which is more than I can say for a lot of other games I played this year. So I think the official So Video Games review score for The Altars Last Variable is going to be, I'm going to say a 7. Solid 7 is what I'm going to put this at. I think it was not the best. It was good. Could have been better. Had some flaws, but overall I enjoyed it. Puts that at a 7. Okay, there you go. That's all the circle backs for this week. We're going to just chug straight ahead and get into the brand new things. Got 3 games to talk about for this week, which is pretty amazing to me anyway, considering that I just uploaded my last episode 2 days ago. So good on me. Yay. Yay me. Okay. First game is called Farlands. Playing this on the Switch 2. I believe it's also on the Switch. This is a farming sim a la Stardew Valley, but this takes place in space. You begin the game, you can customize your character, male or female, skin tone, clothes, hair options, whatever. But you're like a tiny little pixel person. You're like 16 pixels high or something like that. And every time I say that, I think of like 3 apples high, is that how tall a Smurf is, I believe? Aren't Smurfs 3 apples high? I think that's how high they are. I don't know. Anyway. 80s background coming to the fore there. So you choose a character and you go to this planet in space, and there's a real estate agent who's like, yeah, buy this planet. It's amazing. And then he's like under his breath going, oh, this place is a dump. So he's trying to unload this planet on you, or planetoid, I think he says. It's a smaller planet. You buy it right off the bat. There's a shack on it. There's a broken down robot assistant that you can fix up. And then there's just like a bunch of stuff all over the place. A bunch of rocks and trees and like whatever. Pixel graphics are pretty cute. I'm into it. I like the style. I think the UI is really great. I think it controls fine. Switching between tools and different things in your inventory. It has a similar system to Minecraft, but I think it works really well. Utilizing the shoulders, triggers and bumpers, I think works really well. So that's good. I just scratched the surface of this one. As I only had like 48 hours since the last episode, I haven't really gotten that deep into this one, but I did start it up last night. And I think so far it's starting off on the right foot. Tutorials have been good. I like the graphics. The reason I picked this one to cover was because the trailer really sold me. Like, it's not just farming. There's also stuff you do with your ship. You upgrade your ship. You can go to different planets. You search for resources on other planets. I believe there's also a combat element, so you can fight some alien monsters when you go to other planets. So it seems like they kind of utilize like the whole solar system and wherever you're at, in addition to just your farm. So you've got your home base of farming, but then you take off into the galaxy and do like other adventuring stuff. I believe there's like space stations you can meet people. So it seems like, the farming Stardew Valley experience plus a little bit of like, Star Trek stuff thrown in there, which is always appealing to me. So more to report on this one later. I just scratched the surface. I'm still kind of finding my bearings, getting through the tutorials, but I did want to mention it to say that this is a thing that exists. It just came out, I want to say maybe 2-3 days ago. It's brand new. So I do not have a final verdict on it yet, but I do like it a lot so far. It's giving me the good vibes, giving me the right vibes. And I'm in the mood for something like this right now. And plus I need something to play on the Switch too before bed every night. So this might be it. So just heads up. Stardew Valley in space with spaceships, traveling between planets, attacking aliens, collecting astral resources. Seems like a winner so far, but I will report back with more details later on. This is Farlands, playing it on the Switch 2. All right, up next, The King is Watching. This was originally on PC, and I got a PS5 code. By the way, every game I'm talking about on the show today, The Altar's Last Variable, Farlands, The King is Watching, and the one I'm about to talk about next, I did receive codes from PR for all those, so shout out to PR. Thanks for the support. Really appreciate it, and I want to make sure that we are in compliance with FCC regulations, although I'm not even sure that anybody cares anymore because it seems like the US government doesn't give a shit about anything but itself. So who knows? Who knows if anybody gives a shit about the FCC anymore? Who knows? But I will comply for the moment anyway. So we did get codes. FYI. Anyway, The King is Watching. So this is a really super interesting one. I will say, okay, spoiler up front, I do not think this works on the PlayStation. I'm questioning how it would even work on PC. But I think this is a really interesting game that has a lot of good things going for it. But I don't know that I'm going to hang in here. So what is this? It's kind of like a roguelike. It's definitely indie AF. There are some tutorials, but there's not a lot of tutorials. They're not very great. So a little bit of bummer on that end. Y'all know that I have a tutorial fetish. But basically okay, so how do I even explain this? You pick a king. There's only one available at first. And then you go to the gameplay screen. The gameplay screen is jam-packed with stuff. There's like 6 or 8 different windows that are adjacent to each other on the screen. And like some of them are different sizes. They all have different elements. And you have to toggle between them with like the R2 button, I think. And it's not really super easy to tell which window you're on at the time. Which, I mean, okay, so like I think like the mile high view of this game is I think there's a lot of really awesome stuff here, but I think it just really needs to go through like the UI mill, and it really needs like a UX person to like attack this. And I think they really just need to work on the interface and especially the console interface. I think this game can work on console. I think they just need to make different decisions about how it works. But that's a whole other thing. If anybody wants to hire me to do that work, I'm happy to do that. I will not do it for free, but I will do it for pay. So I like this game a lot. I just don't like playing it, if that makes any sense. So you're looking at the screen. A big chunk of the screen is like your kingdom. You have a God's eye overhead view, and it's broken up into squares. And so you must place a few things in these squares to start your economy going. So the first thing you do is you want to put down some wells. Wells will generate water, and water is kind of like the basis for everything. So if you don't have water, you can't really do anything. So you set down some wells. And then you, once you have a certain amount of water, like once you have like 30 water accumulated, then you have enough to put down a wheat field. And then you've got to let that run. And once you have accumulated 30 wheat, these are all examples. I don't know the exact numbers, but once you have 30 wheat, then you can lay down a barracks, and a barracks has like people in it. And then those people will defend your kingdom. And then once you get a few more resources, you can build other things. You can build like a mine that gives you silver. You can build a shop which sells your different things in exchange for money. You can build magic school, which gives you magic spells. Okay, so like you just place these resources, right? But the trick and the entire premise of this entire game, the whole hook here, it's right in the title. The King is Watching. So what this means is when you lay down your wells and your wheat field and your barracks, and they all take up one square on this little checkerboard thing, Those things only work. They only produce goods when your cursor is on them. So you might have, I don't know, a 10 by 10 block of squares. Your cursor is like 4 squares, which means the vast majority of that board is inactive because you are not, quote unquote, watching it. So you rule over the laziest fucking kingdom in the world. And if I was in charge of this kingdom, there would be some severe penalties for people who are slacking off this hard. But this is a video game, so I get it. So that's the hook. The hook is you need to arrange your resources, water, wheat, lumber, metal, whatever, troops, archers, soldiers. Each of those takes up 1 square. You place them on your big checkerboard, wherever you want them to be, and your cursor, at least at the start, is in the shape of like an L block from Tetris. So you need to like maneuver that cursor so that it's on certain squares, and whatever your cursor is touching, it'll work. So like, let's say you need some water, you've got to flip your cursor around so that it's on the water square, and then water will be produced. The second your cursor leaves that square, water stops flowing. So you've got to be constantly watching all your resources. I mean, there's a shitload of resources. There's tons of things to watch. There's like 10, 15 things to watch. And you've got to be watching all those things. Do I need more wood? Better move my cursor over there. Get that thing going. Oh no, soldiers are low. Okay, get the cursor over there. Uh-oh, we're out of metal. Get that cursor over there. And you're constantly doing 1,000 little micromanaging. Like you're just watching the field all the time, moving your cursor around, which is weird and different. And I think it's pretty cool and interesting. It definitely feels unlike anything I've ever played before in this particular aspect. And I think it's cool. So you're building up your resources. Every time you have enough resources, you want to put down a new square, and it just goes up and up and up. You can sell some resources for money. Money becomes a resource that you need to like upgrade certain things, upgrade your barracks and upgrade your wheat fields and whatever. So that's kind of how it goes. At the same time, you are constantly getting attacked by these goblins, which are coming from the side of the screen, the other side of the screen. And you can see them on one of the windows. It's like at the top of the screen, and it'll tell you, okay, the next wave coming in is whatever goblins. And so you got to keep an eye on that. And that kind of tells you roughly how much time you have. And you got to figure out, okay, I need to make sure I've got enough soldiers. In order to have soldiers, I need to have enough wheat. In order to have enough wheat, I need to have water. I need to get this thing going. And I need to make sure that my cursor is on all of these things in the right order, in the right amount, and for the right length of time. And then I need to also key these things off and then get this all going. And so you're managing like 75 different things at once. And I think that's cool. I think it's a good idea. I think it's interesting and different and super appealing. But like I said, it is motherfucking hard to do on PlayStation. And honestly, I did not play it on PC. I imagine it would be really fucking hard to do on PC as well. In the plus column, you can pause the action at any time, and you can key off certain things while you're paused. I was hitting pause constantly. It was like, oh my God, there's too many things happening. I don't know what's happening. I need to just pause. So I'm glad that there's a pause. This thing I think would be totally unplayable if there was no pause, at least for me. But getting back to the UI, there's so many different windows on the screen. There's like the map screen where you've got your town. You've got a resource screen. You've got an upgrade screen. You've got a screen where you've got your available blocks. There's the goblin screen where you can see where people are coming. I just like, holy shit, dude. There's like so much stuff happening on the screen, and it's hard to tell where your cursor's at. And so you're constantly like clicking through the windows, trying to figure out where you're at. So you get that going. Not a lot of tutorials. And it's like, so there's a weird dichotomy here, because the tooltips, when you open the tooltips, that'll tell you what each thing does when you hover over it or when your cursor's on it. I like that information. But the tooltip window is fucking huge, and it takes up way too much of the screen. So you can't see what's going on when the tooltips are open, so you've got to close them. You hit like the R3, you click the stick. And so I was constantly shuffle window, click, stick, open tooltip. What is this thing again? Oh, that's right. Close tooltip, shuffle back. Oh shit, I'm in the wrong window. Shuffle back. And the thing that's weird is like using the sticks and D-pad was really brain breaking, because if I remember correctly, you use the stick to navigate around the screen, but you use the D-pad to move the cursor when you're in your checkerboard area where you're using your resources. So you had to like remember that each of those are different. They're not interchangeable. And so you had to like go to the D-pad when you wanted to move your cursor on your kingdom, but then jump back to the stick when you are moving between windows, but then you're also moving windows with R2, but then you're also flipping your cursor with like L1. And then it's just like, holy shit, dude. Like it was just like way like control overload. and I just felt like really, really overwhelmed by it. And it was, on one level, I really appreciated what they were doing, but on a like a realistic level, it was very hard to come to grips with this. It took me a long time before I even felt remotely comfortable. I was like, okay, window, too much things. What am I reading? Where's this thing? What does this mean? Can't remember. Okay, open the tooltip. Oh my God, this thing, what? And then it was just like, it was like overload, like, oh, sensory overload, man. So, on the plus side, also, another plus side, if you touch the touchpad on your PS controller, it instantly goes into a mouse mode. And I found myself doing the mouse mode a few times where I was just so annoyed with trying to figure out which button it was to get me back to that window. I would just put my finger on the touchpad and move the mouse over, and that worked well. So I'm glad they put that in there. I think that the developers are trying to do the best they can with a very challenging port. I will say that I don't think they quite got there. I think they need to do more choices, more changes, more decisions with how this plays on a controller. And then I think it would still be pretty overwhelming, but at least you wouldn't be doing like mega finger gymnastics every 5 seconds. I think it's a pretty challenging sell on PlayStation. You can get there, but it's going to be really tedious and methodical and take a lot of focus and energy. It required me specifically to be too mentally active. I couldn't really find a good groove to where I was just kind of in a flow state with it, which was a problem. But I think it's interesting. I think it's good. I like the graphics. I like the premise. I like the concept. I think a lot of things are really good about it. I just think it needs a little bit more time with the user experience side of things. So did not get very far, because it was walking uphill in the snow to play this game and to really come to grips with it. So I think that was a pretty significant hill to get over. And I'm not sure that I fully got there. I think there's a lot of aspects of this game that I still don't have internalized yet. So it's the interface really is a big challenge here. But again, I like the game. I imagine it's probably a little bit better on mouse, at least. It's got to be. And I think overall it's a cool concept. So if anything I've said sounds interesting, using a Tetris cursor to stare at lazy workers and to get them done and to micromanage all these different things and to keep your kingdom running with all these different resources, I think that seems like a pretty fun time. I'm still kind of into it. But I would definitely recommend the PC version. I think the PlayStation version is not quite there. And just save yourself the hassle and maybe look for something with a little bit lower bar to entry on that one. So, all right, that is it. The King is watching. Very interesting. Not for me in this particular iteration, but still very interesting and good. I bet a lot of people would dig this one. But go for PC for sure. Trust me on that. All right, last game of the show, Gurei, Gurei. This is a pretty interesting one, and this is not going to be for everybody, but I bet a few people out there are going to really eat this one up. This is a 2D action game, fast combat action, where you play some type of, I mean, I'm guessing you're probably like a fox spirit, like in human form, I think. Definitely like Asian themes throughout this entire game. You don't really know a lot about it other than you're in this one temple area. This is all 2D, heavily shaded, stylized art. I think the art in general is pretty good. I do not like the way the main character looks. It's a little bit off to me, but some of the other parts of the design are quite good. And I think there's a lot of really strong designs and it's very eye-catching. I think unfortunately, I think the main character is a bit of a weak spot for me and I'm really picky about my art. But it's not a big deal. Basically, so what you do, this is a boss rush game where you are eventually defeating, I want to say 10 bosses. And there's a hook. There's a hook to this. So you start off basic person with just a sword. And you have a sword, jump, and dodge. And the dodge does not feel super great. There's like a half a second pause before you actually do it. The window for iframes or the amount of time that you are invincible when you're dodging is pretty small. And I think some of the timings are a little bit wonky. It's hard to read some of the timings, but that's what you've got. You've got a dodge, jump, and a sword. So the hook to this game is that you can fight any of the bosses in any order that you want. And there's 10 different ones. There's like a cat lady. There's a big catfish dude with a shield. There's like a snake guy. There's some type of bird, couple birds that each have a different presentation, monkey, beetle, so like there are all these different like anthropomorphized animals that have different fighting styles. The game itself, in general, the palette is pretty dark, and there's like little bits of color throughout. So like the sword of the snake guy is like bright red, and everything else is pretty subdued. It's pretty cool looking. I think in general, I think the style is on point for Gurei. I just don't like the way the main character looks. But anyway, not to beat that horse. The hook, which I haven't got to yet, is that you choose any boss that you want to, and you go and defeat that boss. And the first couple ones you fight are like piss easy. Like it doesn't matter which one you choose. The first couple are going to go down. If you have even the most basic familiarity with action games, you're going to take them down pretty quickly. And each boss has a specific ability, so that when you kill them, you get that ability. So for example, if you go and fight the catfish guy, he has a shield and does like a water stomp, and he tickles you with his little barbels on his face, which is really gross, and I don't like that. Please don't touch me, Mr. Catfish, sir. Especially not there. After you defeat the catfish guy, like you get his shield. So you have no shield at when you're the stock character. You have nothing. You kill the catfish guy, you get the shield. And then you can use that shield against the other bosses. So then you go to fight the snake. And what does the snake do? The snake, for example, when you do a perfect dodge, it powers up your sword for one hit, and you've got to get the sword hit off really quickly. So that's the one. The cat, if you defeat the cat, she gives you like a little second chance. Like she lets you live, kind of like a 9 lives kind of concept. So if you die, you'll still get like this little bit of like a extra life bar that'll give you like a few moments to get a final hit in. So it can kind of save the match for you. So that's the thing. That's the hook, is like each animal has a trait or an ability, and you've got to choose which one of these abilities do I like the best, which is the most useful for me, which one will serve me well. And then after you collect an ability, all the other bosses get one notch harder. So let's say, for example, you go to fight the snake guy first. All he really does is like stands there, and he does like a swipe with a sickle or a scythe. And he'll run back and forth between both sides of the screen, take a swipe. It's like I said, it's piss easy. It's nothing. But when you come back to him, when he's like, after you've already beaten 2 or 3 other bosses, he's got like 2 or 3 more moves. Like he's got the sickle swipe, and then he like jumps around, and then he's got like a different kind of swipe, and he's faster, and it's like that for all the bosses, right? So like whatever boss you didn't fight is going to get harder. So you have to be very careful about the bosses that you do kill early to make sure that the powers you're getting are powers that fit with your playstyle and that serve you well, and will enable you to keep going. Every time you kill a boss, you get 1 extra life. So at the beginning, if you don't kill your first boss, it's game over. After you kill that first boss, you get 1 life. If you keep going and kill the second boss, then you'll get an extra life for a total of 2. Every time you kill a boss, you get 1 more life. And then once those lives are over, it's done. You're back to the start. So this is, in some ways, fairly hardcore. It starts off pretty easy, but I think the difficulty ramps up pretty quickly. And with the limits of life, it's like a performance based. Like you keep going. If you keep winning, then you get more lives. If you start losing, you lose lives. And then when you're done, you're done. There's no permanent progression. There's no leveling up over time. There's no increasing your life stock. There's no increasing defense or anything like that. It's just you are exactly what you are when you start. And you get the same powers every time from the same guy. So you know what you're going to get. There's no randomness involved in it at all. It's all pre-scripted. And so if you kill the cat, you're going to get the 9 lives thing every single time. If you kill the snake, you're going to get the powered up sword every single time. So you know what you're going to get. So it's strictly down to skill. As far as I know, there's no way to mitigate that. There's no easy, medium, or hard mode. There's no toggles for accessibility. It is exactly what it is, and that's what it is, and either you like it or you don't. So on the one hand, I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of like getting powers from bosses and then choosing your own route. I think it's good. I think most of the art is actually pretty good. I really like most of it. One thing I didn't mention is that after you kill bosses, they start to talk to you. I don't know if it's like from the spirit world or maybe they're inside you or something, but like in the beginning you get nothing. And then after you kill one boss, that guy becomes your ride along to talk to you. You kill 2, 3 bosses. They all have something to say between matches, which I think is a nice touch. I like that. Also, depending on which boss you fight, it'll activate certain things in the environment. So for example, if you kill one particular guy or you kill a cat, let's say you kill the cat and then you start walking around, this little spirit will show up that will not show up otherwise. If you have not killed the cat, the spirit is not there. If you kill the cat, the spirit is there. And they offer you like a little a bonus game to kind of teach you how to perfect block, that kind of thing. So there's little NPCs scattered throughout that appear based on who you kill in what order. Little secrets here and there. And I think that's all really good. So I like it a lot. I'm playing it right now. The furthest I've gotten, I think, is 5 bosses, and then I have crashed and burned. The difficulty gets hard, and I think part of my issue with it is some of the moves are hard to read. I think it's kind of hard to tell exactly where the hitboxes are, and some of the timing isn't quite what you would think they are, or at least what I would think they are. So I have a little bit of trouble with that. Still coming to grips with that. I also, I do think it's an issue that there's no accessibility whatsoever. This is basically my way or the highway kind of a game, and either you hang or you don't. So for me, I am an able-bodied person who has a lot of experience with action games. I do not have disabilities or limitations of any kind when it comes to video games. And so I am able to access this in the way that is intended, and I think that's okay. But I am also a very strong advocate for accessibility. And so on that respect, I do think this game falls down pretty hard in that they do not make any concessions towards other players who might have any kind of limitations or less experience or physical disabilities of any kind. There's no slowing the game down. There's no difficulty sliders. There's no building up over time, which I think is actually a poor decision. I understand that maybe this is a small team and they've got a vision, and I get that, but you've got to be open to other people if you want your game to succeed. And I think this game could succeed. I think there's a lot to like about it. But with it being accessible to such a narrow band of people, I think that's a mistake, a tactical mistake. And I hope that the developers will expand their reach a little bit, put in some difficulty toggles, put in some sliders for things, make it more accessible. And the people who are hardcore can play it on hardcore mode. They can leave it like vanilla and just play it as is, and that's fine. And other people who may really, really like your game but can't access it in the current status will be able to play it. I mean, you're only going to get more people playing your game. That's not a bad thing. So hopefully the developers are not going to die on the sword of this is my vision and no one can touch it. Because, I mean, cool, but that's really going to limit you in the long run. Hopefully they'll be open to other perspectives on that. The only other thing that I do not like about this game, and I wish they had done differently, is I do not like the environment. You're at the bottom of this temple, like a big pagoda, and there's like an underground to it, and there's like some levels to it and all that stuff. And it's just fucking annoying to like navigate it. I realize that they wanted you to feel like you were discovering these bosses, and there's little NPCs along the way. Like I said, like after you beat a couple bosses, you'll see some NPCs pop up. But honestly, it's fucking annoying. I wish they would just like put you on like a Mega Man level. Or, if you haven't seen the original Mega Man, like what it looks like, just a screen where all the bosses are right there. Just pick a boss. Because I don't want to like have to like, double jump and slide through the environment 10 times. You're going to be playing this game a lot, and you're going to be going through the environment a lot. And it's just kind of like a waste of time and a drag. I want to just go straight to the boss and just practice on that boss. And to be fair, it's not a huge time investment, but like every minute wasted, it feels like a minute wasted. And so I don't want to waste any. So I wish they had gotten rid of the environment. I think there's probably other ways to do that. Maybe be at the home base and have NPCs appear at the home base where it's all easily accessible. But the way that things are scattered throughout the pagoda and the way the pagoda itself is divided up, it's just like annoying to navigate. I just don't like it. And I feel like it's disrespectful of my time a little bit. So I wish there was an easier way to get to the bosses and choose the one you want. And just, if this game is going to be all rock, no talk, let's do it. Let's get to the action a little quicker. But overall, I think Gurei is pretty cool. It's definitely going to be hard, and there's no way to mitigate that. So if you're that kind of a person who likes a stiff action challenge, who is not disabled or has any physical limitations, and you're okay with like the grind of like no concessions whatsoever, you either do it or you don't, then this game is for you for sure. And honestly, I do like this game. I'm going to keep playing it. I am one of the fortunate few who can, access this game and interface with it in the way it was meant to be. But I know a lot of people out there aren't, and I think that's too bad. Those people are going to miss out on this, and I think the Gurei developers are going to miss out on some fans they otherwise would have had. So hopefully they'll hear this message and make some changes for people who do not fit the very limited band of folks who can play this game. And if you say, not every game is meant for everybody, then I guess fuck off. That's what I say to you. Fuck off. Okay, so I guess it's pretty good overall. Check it out. If you like Souls, if you like 2D action, if you like combat, if you like stiff, difficult things, this might be for you. It's pretty cool, honestly. I just wish it was a little bit more accessible. So I think that's my big takeaway. There you go. That is Gurei. If I end up finishing it, I will circle back and report. I don't know if I will hang through all 10 bosses. I would like to, but we'll see how irritating it gets after a while. We'll see. I'll report back. All right. I think that's all. Yep. Checking the script. That's all the new games for this week. I'm going to take a sip of Red Bull, and we're going to get to the end of the show. All right. Sip my Red Bull off the podcast, so you didn't have to hear my slurping. You're welcome. Let's get to the end game here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. end game portion of the show is officially done, but now we're going to talk about TV and movies. You know how this goes. We do it every week. Whatever, it's fine. What did we watch this week? We watched a brand new cartoon series on Disney Plus. It's called The Doomies. This is about two kids who, I guess they're in France. They say they're in France. There are French names in the show. I don't know if this is from Disney France, because I know that Disney has arms in like other countries, and each of those countries has their own programming. We've watched a lot of the Disney German stuff, is pretty cool, and we've watched some of the Disney Brazil stuff. I'm not sure if this is actually from France or if the developer or the creator just says it's in France. But they speak English, and no one has a French accent, and it seems like it could very easily take place in northeastern United States. So whatever, it's in France. Basically, these are like modern day kids. They have phones. They're on YouTube. They want to be content creators. They walk around investigating spooky ghost stories in this French town. It's like a seaside town, fishing town. Got a lot of Cthulhu vibes going on. And they accidentally activate a literal portal to the underworld. All sorts of monsters come through. They start freaking out. And that is what they're dealing with. We've only seen one episode so far, but we really like the style. Art style is cute. Voices were good. Action was good. It's interesting because I feel like Disney is like in some ways a really good incubator for cartoons that are really quite good, but they're also super conservative, and they're also very stringent when it comes to certain things. And I guess if you stay within the boundaries that they set, it's a good place to incubate your property. But the second you set one toe outside, they get rid of you. Thinking about stuff like the Owl House or whatever, which was super an amazing cartoon, but they wanted to talk about gay relationships, and the second that happened, they axed it. So that was shitty. They've done that a few times with other properties as well. So I don't know if they're going to be approaching any of that content, but what we've seen so far seems really good. Two kids investigating Cthulhu stuff in France. It's funny. It's action packed. There's a little bit of emotion there. One of the characters has a relationship with his mom that is really kind of falling apart. And so that was kind of interesting to see that they brought something a little heavier in to kind of anchor the series. But yeah, it's been good. Jokes are good. We like it. We're going to watch more. I think right now there's 22 episodes altogether. Only one season. It's brand new. So check that out if that sounds good. That's The Doomies on Disney Plus. Last mention of the show this week is Mortal Kombat 2, which just came to streaming. Shout out to a good friend of the show, J Monster, who said he was watching it in the Discord. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was even out. So as soon as he said that, I went to go track it down, and it is free to watch if you pay for, I want to say it's HBO Max. I think you can just stream it there. So me and the wife were like, oh yeah, cool, let's watch this. We watched it like immediately. It was fine. It was good. It was exactly what I would expect from a Mortal Kombat movie, where it was like, the story was like, whatever, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of held together, whatever. And there was a lot of fights, and the fights were pretty cool, pretty bloody. So that was, as appropriate for Mortal Kombat. And that was it. Cool music, cool fights. And yeah, I mean, that's that. I don't know what else you want. You're not here to like learn about the human condition. I don't think anybody really cares about like the continuing storyline. To be honest, I wasn't even sure that this movie connected with the first Mortal Kombat from 2 or 3 years ago or whatever it was. I was like, is this even the same series? Is this the same? Is this a continuation? Is it a reboot? Like, I don't even know what's happening. But I guess it does continue, because Scorpion seemed to be played by the same actor in both movies. So I guess that's the linking tissue there. But honestly, it could have easily just been a standalone. I didn't remember what happened in the first Mortal Kombat other than fights and cool music. So that happened here again as well. They had some stuff going on with Katana. Johnny Cage was played by Carl Urban, which was really weird and interesting. They portray Johnny Cage as washed up and burned out and kind of a relic. He's no longer the superstar that he once was. And so Carl Urban to be frank, he feels miscast a little bit. I mean, I love Carl Urban. He's great. I mean, always a plus for me. But he just seems weird. Like he didn't fit the Johnny Cage vibe for me. And I was like, I mean, God love you, Carl Urban. Do all the work you can do. I want that guy to stay employed. It just felt weird. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but like, you don't look at Carl Urban and think Johnny Cage, right? That just doesn't fit. They had Baraka in there, which was kind of funny. He had like a lighter side to him, which was interesting. Jax and his robot arms, Sonya Blade, Jade was in it. Shao Kahn. and a couple of the other dudes. Yeah, Liu Kang. Did I say Liu Kang? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. We had fun. We enjoyed it. I cannot tell you exactly what happened in that movie other than fights. I do not remember how it related to the first movie. I don't remember what happened in the first movie other than fights. But honestly, that's what I want from a Mortal Kombat movie. So it checked the box. It worked. It was fun. We ate popcorn. We watched it. Had a good time. So there you go. All right, folks, that is a show. Before the closing music, would love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend the show to your friends if you liked it, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, I didn't take any today, but I would love to get your questions and comments for next time. You can hit me up directly at sovidegamespodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, all A's, no O's. You can also hit me up in the So Videgames Discord, which I mentioned earlier. Totally free of charge to join. Just drop me a line through any of the channels I just mentioned, and we'll get you on board to continue the conversation. Lots of really intelligent and sexy people in the Discord. Would love to have you join as well. And finally, if you like this episode and you want to hear more, you can help support this show and sister site GameCritics.com by going over to patreon.com/the So Videgames Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. And real talk, folks, we don't have any ads at GameCritics.com. We don't have any ads on this show. We want to stay as independent and honest as possible. And I'm sure if you listen to this episode, you're like, yes, Brad is not beholden to PR people. He is not putting sugar on things to make it sweeter for ratings. I'll tell you exactly what I think, and that's true. I will not hold back. If I love something, I will celebrate it. If I think something sucks, I'll call it out. Same thing for GameCritics.com, right? 0 ads, 100% ad free. And we've been that way for many, many years. And so we score things lower than 8. We will call things out. We will criticize things. In fact, just this morning, I got more hate mail for some of the more critical pieces we have reviewed in the past. I'm not going to name names because I don't need more hate mail. I mean, I would like less. But, we say what we think, and we fight the good fight, and we want to be there. We don't care about clicks. We don't care about making people happy. We don't care about sugarcoating anything. We are just really honest, and we do this because we love it. And if you want the honest opinion of people who've been in the game for a long time, that's what you get. That's what you get. I think I'm coming up on, what am I coming up on? I'm coming up on more than 40 years in the games field, playing games, reviewing games, being the editor of GameCritics.com. I mean, that's a lot of experience to draw from. And most of the people at GameCritics.com have been in the game for just as long. We've got a couple of 30-year veterans. We've got a couple of 20-year veterans. A lot of new guys, too. And the new guys are always welcome. New girls, new people of any determinate gender or origin or orientation or anything. We welcome everybody. So anybody is welcome. But yeah, new, old, inexperienced. We welcome all the voices, but we do have quite a bit of experienced people to draw from. And if you want to hear that, if you like that, if you want to go to a site where we're not experiencing the brain drain that is kind of hitting the rest of the industry, because everybody here wants to be here. We volunteer to be here. And I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but we're all volunteers. Everybody who is at GameCritics.com, everybody who chips in to So Video Games on the back end, we're all volunteers. There's no money generated by Game Critics. And that's one of the reasons we can keep it ad free. We're not beholden to people. We're not fighting for those clicks. We're not fighting for dollars. I keep most of this running out of my own pocket, and everybody that works for me, writes for free in exchange for games. So that's how we love it, right? Like we're not out here trying to make ends meet. We're not begging for dollars, but those dollars would help keep us afloat if you can afford it. So, again, if you like this episode and you want to hear more, if you like the stuff that we do over at GameCritics.com, accessibility too. We've been accessibility advocates for decades. Long before other people were doing it. We actually give a shit about this stuff. So if you like that as well, and you want more of that, go over to patreon.com/the So Videgames Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. And every dollar you get goes back into keeping the site running. And if we don't get dollars, then it just comes out of my pocket. So your help will be greatly appreciated. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 498. Thank you again for joining me here on the So Videgames Podcast, and I'll see you next week.